So for problem 1, we want to find an equation for a line that goes to the points 5, 0, and 6, 7. So, as you remember, slope, m equals the change in y of the change in x, also known as rise over run, where you do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So, there's two different ways you can do this. Now, remember the order. If you choose the second coordinate first, whichever pair you choose first, that's the coordinate you have to use first. So, in other words, I'll choose 7 as my y2, y1, and so therefore, since this is y2, this has to be x2 and x1. So, 7 minus 0 over 6 minus 5, which equals 7 over 1, which equals 7. Or what I could have done is label, or I could have done y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So for it's going to be 0 minus 7 over 5 minus 6 equals negative 7 over negative 1, which still equals positive 7. So that's my slope. So now, when I write this in equation form, I could do this one of two ways. I could either do slope-intercept form, or I could do point-slope form. Now, I think point-slope form is a little bit easier, but don't worry about that. So, slope-intercept form, m equals 7, and I could choose either of the 2 points. I could choose either 5, 0 or 6, 7 to plug in to find my b. I'm going to choose 5, 0 because that one, there's a 0 in it. It seems a little bit easier to work with. So x equals 5 and y equals 0. So we have our m, our y, and our x, and we're trying to solve for b. So our y equals 0, our m is 7, our x is 5, and our b is still unknown. So 0 equals 35 plus b. To solve for b, we want to subtract 35 on both sides. So therefore, negative 35 equals b. So now we know what our b is, and we know what our m is. So our general form is y equals 7x minus 35. And that's our equation. Now, the reason y and x say y and x is because they always change. So keep y and x as variables. Or the other way you could have done it is point-slope form, where it's y minus y naught equals m times the quantity of x minus x naught. So we still know that m equals 7, because that's what we've done before. Now, again, you can choose either of the 2 points, 5, 0 or 6, 7 to work with. Now, I'm going to choose 5, 0 because, again, it has a 0, it's easier to work with. So my x naught equals 5, my y naught equals 0. So now we know everything. We can plug everything in. So y minus y naught equals 7 times the quantity of x minus 5. So then we do everything. 7x, remember we're going to distribute, minus 35. And therefore, that still gives us the same y-intercept, which is negative 35. So we did this all in one step. So therefore, this is the equation of our line. Now that we've got the equation, we use one of two methods, point-slope form or slope-intercept form. Now we want to graph it. Now, there are one of two ways you can graph it, either using a table, choosing values and plotting points, or using a y-intercept and graphing from the equation. So the first way is using a graph. So if I choose random values for y, like 0, 1, 2, and 3, and we'll plug in 0 for every x I see, so it's negative 35. When I plug in 1, it's going to be negative 28. This one's going to be negative 21, and then negative 14. So therefore, when I graph, I'm going to plot those points. So I got 0, negative 35 there, 1, negative 28, 2, negative 21, and 3, negative 14. I'm going to draw my line. So this equals y equals 7x minus 35. Now this way is a little bit better to ensure yourself that you're not going to make any errors. But the more efficient way is to graph it the way using the equation itself. So you have a graph here. So y equals 7x minus 35. I know my y-intercept is negative 30, 0, negative 35. And then because my slope is 7, I can go up 7 to the right 1 and do it again. Or what I can do is go down 7 to the right one, because our m can also equal -7, -1. So I can do that, and then there's my graph. So you can see that this way is more efficient in my eyes. So on the next page, I want you to find the equation of the slope and also graph it. The points are 6, 4, and 8, 9. Keep in fraction form. So if you turn to the next page, there are 4 different kinds of slopes, the vocab words. A positive slope is when it's leaning towards the right. The negative slope, which is in red, is leaning towards the left. Look here, you go up and then to the right, or you go down and then you go to the left. So this is positive no matter what. This way, you're positive and then you go to negative, or you're negative and then you go positive. 2 other kinds of slopes are the zero slope. That means that your numerator is 0. So y equals 0 over, say, 4x plus 3. So therefore, because your numerator is 0, this is a 0 slope. It's just rise. Now it's just run. Now this one, the undefined slope, is a vertical line. Zero slopes are horizontal. Undefined slopes are just vertical. Now this is just going to be x equals -3, because that's probably -3 somewhere. Now those are just vertical. It has no run whatsoever. It's just rise. This one is just run. This one is strictly rise. So those are the differences between these two, between zero slope and undefined slope. So now I want to find a slope equation of line that's parallel to 7x minus 35. It goes through 0.64, so you can see that green line. So one thing we know is parallel has no intersections. So therefore they have the same slope. So our slope right here is 7, right? So to find the next equation, we already know that our slope is 7. And it goes to the 0.64. So we already know our x and our y, where x is our 6 and y is our 4. So I'm going to use point slope form to figure it out. Or you can use your y equals mx plus b. I'll do it one of 2 ways. Alright, so we have y minus 4 equals 7 times x minus 6. So when we move to the next one, y minus 4 equals 7x minus 6. We do all the math. Y minus 4 equals 7x minus 42. Add 4 to both sides. You know, y equals 7x minus 38. And that's going to be the equation of your new slope. So the answer is going to be 7x minus 38. Or we could do it the way that you've all known, the y equals mx plus b, where m equals 7 and 6, 4. So we have 4 equals 6 times 7 plus b. So 4 equals 42 plus b. Subtract 4 on both sides. Negative 38 equals b. That's how we get our answer. See, the equation would still be 7x minus 38. And you still get the same answer. So now we want to find one that's perpendicular. Now remember, perpendicular is a negative reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 7 is 1 over 7. And take the negative of 1 over 7, you get negative 1 over 7. And then our point using point slope form, our x0 and our y0. So when we plug it in, our y0, our m, and our 4. When we do all the math, when you plug it all in, your equation is y equals negative 1 over 7x plus 22 over 7. Now we could do it the other way, like you've all been doing it. Y equals mx plus b, where 4 is our y, negative 1 over 7 is our m, and 6 is our x. When you do everything, the math turns out to be the same answer.